Howard Stern Show.
You were very close with Tupac Shakur.
Yes.
And Tupac Shakur wasn't the gangsta that we all think he was, right? I remember his mother was a Black Panther.
Yes.
And he had a lot of Black Panthers, sort of raised by the Black Panthers.
Absolutely.
And all that. But
he was a revolutionary without a revolution, if that makes any kind of sense. So then that kind of energy just transferred to a whole nother thing.
And don't you believe at that time he was in love with you? Because he would write poetry about you, that the fact that you two weren't sexual with one another, but he said you could make him come in a way that without sex, right?
You know, I think it's so funny because now being older, I have more of an understanding of what that was between us, because, you know, when you have two young people who have very strong feelings, but there's no physical chemistry between us at all. And it wasn't even just for me.
Right.
You know, it was him too. You know, there was a time when I was like, just kiss me. Let's just see how this goes. And when I tell you it had to be the most disgusting kiss for us both.
Explain that to me, because it was so platonic, the relationship?
I think, you know, the only way I can put it is just the higher power just did not want that, because I feel as though if Pac and I had any kind of sexual chemistry, we might have killed each other, because we were both so passionate and, you know, we love deeply. I mean, it was hard enough just with us being friends. We had a very volatile relationship.
Did you recognize him as a great talent at that point?
I did.
What was it, his poetry?
It was his poetry. It was his personality. I had never in my life met a person
with
like
that kind
Pac.
of charisma.
He had so much charisma, he was poor. I mean, Pac was poor. When I met Pac, he owned 2 pairs of pants and 2 sweaters, and that's it.
Were you shocked when he achieved the degree of fame that he did?
Absolutely not.
Really? Because
I knew that was going to happen.
I mean, for both of you to become famous out of this shitty neighborhood in Baltimore is almost impossible.
It is. It's crazy. And he used to tell me all the time, he was like, Jada, you're a superstar. He's like, you're a superstar.
He didn't say it about himself.
He didn't say it about himself. No, he didn't. But he used to say it about me. And and he went to L.A. he went to Oakland. He went up north, and things started jumping off for him. And it really happened for us both at the same time.
So you guys were these close friends, really close, almost lovers, but the chemistry wasn't there.
Yeah.
But then as you go off to L.A. and pursue a career, and he goes off doing his thing, you guys are not friends. He went to jail.
He went to jail.
And you've said when he went to jail for the first time, he called you after that, and that he changed. Jail changed him. Well,
it wasn't. There was a lot of things that transpired once he went to jail. It was really once he came out,
right,
that he changed quite a bit, which
you mean
is
his
understandably.
Fame changed him, or just coming out of jail?
No. Jail. Jail was a very difficult experience for him,
right.
And of course we were on 2 sides of the spectrum, and Pac and I have always had very intense conversations, arguments, and if we disagree with each other, we disagree hardcore, and we had a very hardcore disagreement. And
what was the disagreement? What was the thing that broke you guys up in terms of a friendship?
I just wasn't in agreement with the direction that he was taking, and I just told him that it was a destructive direction. A scary direction. A very scary direction, and he felt as though, I had changed. I got Hollywood.
Right.
And
you had gone soft.
I had gone soft.
Right.
Yeah. And I understood all that, and looking back now, I totally understand where Pac was, because at that particular point in time, that mentality was part of his survival for that moment. And it was actually a mentality he started to come out of before he was murdered.
Right. And so you hadn't spoken to him for a couple of years, and the point I'm getting at is that when he was murdered, you probably felt a lot of guilt that you hadn't been in touch, yes? Or were you guilt-free because you said to yourself, well, listen, I couldn't go in that direction. I didn't want to be friends with someone who was getting so hardcore angry.
I don't think I was guilty as much as I felt just sadness, for not having, just the opportunity to tell him that I loved him. But I know he knew that. You know, because it wasn't the first time that we had a bad argument and had stopped speaking and all of that. I mean, that was kind of a constant in our relationship. So I didn't really look at it as, you know, a reason to feel guilty. But it definitely taught me a lesson, which is life is too short. Do not let disagreements stand in between you and people that you love and care about.
I can tell you're really emotional about him. I mean, you're crying.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think of him, you have tears in your eyes.
You know, I love him.
Yeah. Yeah, terrible ending.
Yeah.
I mean, just so violent, you know.
It was really tragic. But you know what? He left a very strong and powerful mark. I mean, people are still, you know, inspired by him.
Yeah.
So he did his work.
Yeah, he did.
He
yeah.
did his work, and that's what we should, you know, that's what I'm happy about.
The thing I have trouble with, when especially someone dies that young, is like, oh my God, so much of their life is